It's almost the weekend, and the Bluebloods are here with some more college football content to get you through the end of your week. We start the episode off by breaking down the preseason AP poll that was just released, and then we're going to move on and debate which players in the ACC could potentially be breakout players this year. And of course, you already know what's coming. We're going to wrap it up with another recruiting update. We've been ignoring the Pac-12 for a while, but we're finally going to head back there, and we're going to analyze the Arizona State Sun Devils 2021 recruiting class. Guys, we only got 3 segments, but you already know we got a full show today, so let's kick it off. So on Monday, the first preseason AP poll was released, and as you can imagine, had most experts and fans across the country expressing their opinions on this poll. One of the most controversial decisions was the AP poll's choice to rank teams that aren't even playing this upcoming season, which caused many people to criticize the decision, wondering why they would do that. But the AP said it wanted to include all D1 teams to give people an idea about what the poll would have looked like in a normal season. But once games kick off, which is Saturday if you're in FCS school, but only teams who are playing will be ranked. But it's crazy because 9 teams in the top 25 are not playing as of now. And 4 teams, one of which is not playing, all received first place votes, and that was Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and even LSU received a number 1 vote. Brandon, I have to say, after the kind of year 2020 has been, I never thought this day would come, but here we are. What teams overrated? What teams are underrated? And let's start here. Do you like that they ranked the Big Ten and Pac-12 teams that aren't even playing?
Dude, let me ask, do you know how pissed off I would be if I were Memphis right now, who was the 26th team who didn't make it in because they decided we're going to put teams that aren't playing this season in this poll? I mean, number 19 through 24 on this poll just are not playing. So, or not, well, I'm sorry. Some of them are playing, but their games are postponed for now. UCF is in there, so their game was postponed. But the other teams, doesn't look like they're playing who they were supposed to play anyway. I'd be pretty upset. I mean, Ohio State at 2 with 21 first place votes is a bold move, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's listen, I'm confused on why they would rank them just like you are, but I mean, I think Ohio State, like you said, is the best reason because doesn't it seem like they're rubbing it into you? Like, congrats, Ohio State, you get to sit at home, but just know 21 voters thought you were the best team in the country.
Yeah. How do you feel if you're Alabama and you got 2 first place votes to Ohio State's 21? They're not even playing.
You lost second place in the poll to a team that doesn't even technically exist right now.
Yeah, they don't exist. They've dissipated into the abyss.
Oh my gosh. But I mean, for me, it didn't serve a purpose, Brandon. I mean, because the AP poll technically doesn't matter in the long run, in the championship long run. And preseason rankings are pure speculation. So do you think Ohio State cares that 21 voters thought they were the best team in the country?
Dude, Justin Fields is over there somewhere punching drywall because he's like, I knew it. I knew that we should have played this season. What's going on? Go ahead.
I mean, so he's mad, but like, Brandon, did you know there's only 2 teams since 2000 that were preseason number 1s that won the national championship?
Yeah, somewhere in my brain I knew that.
Yeah, 2017 Alabama and 2004 USC are the only 2 teams to do it.
That's great. Well, Clemson. Let's hope the trend continues.
Let's see. I mean, I get both sides, Brandon. I get it to a point, but it just causes more confusion, right? Because you're like, hey, Memphis is not ranked in the top 25. How is that so? They'd be 17th if you took the teams out.
Yeah, I mean, you're not only in the top 25, you're in the top 20. You're almost in the top 15. That's crazy.
Well, then look at Cincinnati. They would be 13th in the country right now.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I mean, and so that's my big takeaway right now. Like, once, like, my biggest takeaway of these rankings is, Brandon, we've been talking the SEC is guaranteed to get two teams in. One of the few Power Five conferences should get two teams in. I think the AAC has a real shot here.
Zach, you can keep doing this if you want, but it's not going to happen.
Brandon, has an AAC team ever been ranked in the top 13 from the first week of the season?
I would say no, since you said it that way.
Okay, and now, so Cincinnati's going to have to play UCF, right? Because they're in conference. UCF is 14th, so that's one ranked win. Memphis is 17th, and once the re-rank happens again, so that's two top 20 teams they're going to have to play, possibly twice in the conference championship. And then with the re-rank, Navy and SMU are probably going to be top 25 teams. So that's four top 25 opponents that Cincinnati's going to have to play.
Well, we see what happens when these AAC teams actually play Power Five, like good Power Five teams.
What?
I guess
Memphis was competitive with Penn State in the Cotton Bowl.
Well, I guess you wouldn't know because UCF did beat Auburn, but in every other instance,
UCF almost beat LSU.
LSU won, didn't they?
But only by 7. You're acting like they get blown out. They're competitive.
But you're acting like these teams get any credit for losing football games. They beat Penn State last year. Penn State beat Memphis last bowl season. Do you think that was a good Penn State team? Do you think that was a good Penn State team?
Yes. If you take Sean Clifford off that team can go win a national championship if you gave them a decent quarterback.
But you know what the issue with that was?
Oh, the issue is that was Journey Brown ran for 300 yards. They shut down Sean Clifford.
I mean, Sean Clifford was the issue. He's the reason. But that doesn't take anything away. That doesn't take anything away from my argument. I still think that look, I just think that you're giving way too much credit to the AAC right now.
But listen, Cincinnati's 13th already, right?
Okay, yeah.
In the SEC, so let's look at the SEC schedule. Alabama plays Auburn, right? They're both ahead of Cincinnati. LSU and Auburn play, both ahead. LSU and Bama play. LSU and Auburn play. Florida LSU play. Georgia Florida plays. Georgia Alabama plays. I mean, Auburn Georgia plays. Texas A&M plays every single one of those teams. So you're telling me that there's not a way that if the SEC cannibalizes itself, that Cincinnati can't make a sneaky run if they go undefeated?
I'm not saying that they can't. What I'm saying is that they shouldn't. Like they should not make the playoffs.
No. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying that based on these rankings, they're going to have a shot.
Well, then we have just been arguing for the past 5 minutes over nothing, then, sir. Because we agree there.
I mean, they definitely have a shot because, I mean, Notre Dame's going to have to play Clemson. Notre Dame's going to have to play UNC. Texas is going to have to play Oklahoma. I mean, all these teams play each other now with this conference-only schedule. So these AAC teams have a shot, realistically, guys. And, like, I'm not saying that they're going to win. Hang on, Brandon. I'm not going to lie to you. If there was a year that all chaos ensued and an AAC team won the national championship, it's 2020.
Oh, well.
Based on this year, are you really counting anything out?
No, I don't guess I can. Zach, I really want to make you a little bit upset right now, though, because I think putting UNC at 18 is just absolutely insane. And do you know where they would
outrageous?
And do you know where they would be at if these teams that weren't playing,
they'd be like 11th or something like that.
See, I knew Zach would know that because Zach did his research on UNC before this podcast.
Well, no. Here's what I did. So in a second, we're going to pick our underrated, overrated teams. I re-ranked them so I could give you guys. So I picked underrated, overrated teams based on where they would be ranked, not where they are currently. Because a team like, let's say, like, you could pick an underrated team as someone like, who do you want to pick? I don't even know. I didn't pick anybody, but like like a team that's ranked 20th, but if you redo the rankings, they're like 11th, and it's like, okay, that's about where I think they should be. So I re-ranked all these teams so I could properly pick underrated, overrated teams.
Yeah, Zach. See, okay, guys, this is going to be a little bit inside of the Blue Bloods, and we're gonna take a look inside of our process because Zach did all of this and said not a word to me about it. So this is a little ridiculous, Zach.
I mean, you don't have to do that. I just did it to be more accurate with my picks. Like, I mean, I'm the analytics guy, so like you would expect me to, like Brandon, I'm so much of a geek. I pay money each month to unlock Pro Football Focus's like college advanced stats. Like, I can tell you every single time a dude hits a blade of grass on the field with these stats. And like, I promise you, like, I'm the only person that subscribes to that.
Zach, as the accountant in this relationship, I'm going to hook you up with a financial advisor. We're gonna get you help, sir, because it sounds like you're wasting a lot of money. Sounds like you're wasting a lot of money.
I need it. But listen, this segment's run on for 11 minutes and we still have a bunch left. So let me go ahead. I'm going to give y'all my underrated teams. I picked 2 of them just to be safe because I didn't think we'd spend 11 minutes ranting about the AAC and my financial decisions. But I have Louisville and Memphis here.
Okay.
Louisville would be 21st in the re-rank. They were not ranked in this one, of course, and Memphis would be 17th. And I'll start with Louisville, who, just a spoiler, I am going to cover them a little bit later in the show for other reasons, but for me, Louisville's a top 20 team in the country. I mean, in a COVID-altered all-season, Brandon, we've talked about this on the podcast, experience is going to mean more than anything. And when you have a returning quarterback, 2 of your top returning running backs, and arguably one of the best receivers in the ACC returning, that bodes well for the Cardinals. And I mean, Tutu Atwell, who's the wide receiver, is special, Brandon. He had over 1,200 yards receiving last year, 11 touchdowns, and he averaged 18.5 yards per catch, Brandon.
Dude, that is insane, actually.
And Pro Football Focus rated him the top rated returning receiver in the entire country over Jamar Chase in terms of not in terms of like stats, but just like graded out blocking, route running, everything. Like his entire game is better according to Pro Football Focus. And I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that he's really, really good. If he's even in the same conversation as Jamar Chase.
I don't want to have to discredit Pro Football Focus because I understand how much clout they have, especially because they are Pro Football Focus. But I'm starting to doubt them.
Well, okay. Listen, Brandon, would Jamar Chase put up the numbers he did if he had Mikael Cunningham throwing him the ball over Joe Burrow? And if this kid put up 1,200 yards, averaging 18 yards per catch in this Louisville offense in the first season that they had this head coach, his name I'm blanking on, but if you gave this kid Joe Burrow in that offense with Joe Brady last year, how well do you think he would have done?
I don't know. I mean, I don't watch a lot of this kid, I'll be honest.
You probably didn't even know him before I mentioned him, but it's fine.
New name to me.
But Hawkins and Hall at running back, Brandon, they both finished in the top 10 in the ACC in rushing grades, and Hawkins had the 8th most rushing yards in the entire country.
Yeah,
and Cunningham was a top 5 quarterback in the ACC last year, and I think once Trevor Lawrence leave, it's going to be him and Sam Howell are the 2 best quarterbacks in the ACC, and the defense is questionable. I'll give you that. That's why I don't think they're a top 15 team, but they do have playmakers like Rod J. Burns and Anthony Johnson that should be able to keep them in the games, and they have 3 really good freshmen, Cameron Wilson, Jamie Vance, and Lovie Jenkins, should be able to step in as true freshmen and act as reinforcement for this defense. And I really, really like Louisville this upcoming year. And just quickly, Brandon, you know Memphis, right? Why do you think they're underrated? Well, why do you think they're underrated? It's all offense, right? We're not ever talking about Memphis's defense. And Memphis returns probably the most potent 3-headed monster of any offense in the entire country. Power 5, group of 5, it doesn't matter. When you return Brady White, coming off a 4,000-yard passing season with 33 passing touchdowns, Kenny Gainwell, 1,400 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns, and then DeMonte Coxey, who's coming off 2 straight over 1,100-yard receiving seasons. That is outstanding, and that's why I picked Memphis and Louisville as my underrated teams from this AP poll.
I got you, man. I don't have my underrated teams. I was just analyzing the board. So you guys, this is what I'm talking about. I feel like this relationship it's not 50-50. It's like 95-5 really between me and
It's
Zach.
fine. Okay, so you could just build off of mine here, man, because I know you're going to have some opinions on both of these teams I have as overrated. So just because you didn't do your homework, I did it for you because I know you're going to love this.
Okay.
It's funny. It's funny because both of these teams are in the same state, but different conferences.
Okay.
My overrated teams are Texas A&M at number 9 and Texas at number 10.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
you
And
know,
I really do appreciate that you're doing the whole re-rank without the teams that aren't playing.
Yeah, I got you, bro. I got you. Both of these teams come from the same state, and I'm skeptical about them for the same reason too. It's really weird, but they're highly ranked due to senior quarterbacks in Kellen Mond and Sam Ehlinger coming back. But outside of those quarterbacks, I'm not really sure what they have across the board in terms of teams. So we'll start with A&M, get them out of the way real fast. I know Brandon's going to want to talk about Texas, but like I said, A&M starts with Kellen Mond, and it really ends with Jimbo Fisher and him. But he should have more weapons than he's ever had. Jamon Osmond returns. Damon Demas comes in as a 5-star true freshman. They're going to be huge targets. And they return running back Anis Smith, and he should build upon his freshman season and be a serious factor. But man, Brandon, are you confident in this A&M defense? Like, I know you watched A&M some last year. I just want to ask, is Joe Burrow still throwing touchdowns in that secondary?
Yeah, he probably is. And here's the thing that I love about Zach. I can get mad at him as much as I want, but he plays into my biases very well, and I hate both of these teams. So this is gonna be a fun segment for everybody. Yeah, I think Texas A&M is extremely overrated. I mean, this was going to be quote unquote their year until they switched to an all SEC schedule. Now they're just going to get exposed for the frauds they were going to play off as last year or this upcoming season if things were normal. I think Jimbo Fisher's a great coach. I think Kellen Mond's a good quarterback. That kind of hurt, but I said it. The rest of the team, a little iffy, especially the defense. Yes, I echo that 100%, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, they have Elijah Blades, really good DB, and I don't think he's lived up to the CB1 role, and I'm not 100% sure he's ready. I mean, he got roasted in the LSU game. And okay, everyone got roasted by LSU last year, but I don't think he's as good as some people think he is. And then Bobby Brown III on the D-line has a lot of hype coming in too, and he's a force on the inside of the line. But I don't see anybody on the outside of that defensive line that can take those double, triple teams away from Brown. And so I think he's going to be limited in what he can do. And I don't see him as a Derek Brown type where he can take over the game from the defensive tackle spot. And that means Jalen Jones, Donnell Harris, and McKinley Jackson, all three true freshmen coming in on the defensive side of the ball, have to be ready to contribute day one for A&M to really compete for the SEC. And I think these three true freshmen might be more intricate parts than even Kellen Mond is in whether A&M lives up to the top 10 ranking or not.
Well, and Zach, the one thing I will say, I guess to counter, because I have to do something. We have to make the show interesting. So I'll counter what you're saying here. And the one thing that Texas A&M has going for them right now is that while every other school in the country is worried about COVID outbreaks and because their students go and party, I don't think students at Texas A&M party. I've never been to College Station, but I've seen the football games where they have like it looks like the JROTC in the stands is what it looks like. And so
Yeah.
those kids don't go to parties. There's no reason to worry about a COVID outbreak at Texas A&M.
Do you think they're going to do the midnight yell over Zoom?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the only time they really get rowdy, so probably.
Oh, God. But let's move to Brandon's favorite team in the country.
Horns down.
The Texas Longhorns, to talk about why they aren't a top 10 team again. We've been doing this since 2005. But everyone points to Sam Ehlinger. And listen, okay, I'm not going to roast Sam Ehlinger. Everyone likes him and everything, but I just think he's inconsistent in the biggest moments. But I got other reasons why I'm not high on this team. But Texas, their wide receiving core, Brandon, ranked 114th out of 130 Division I teams going into this year.
Yeah, that's bad. That's as simple as I can put it.
And their number one wide receiver / number two, he's going to fall somewhere in there. He's the most experienced, is Brennan Eagles. And Brandon, He only caught 52% of all his targets last year.
Yikes. Not great.
And that's going to be your number one target?
Well, yeah. If you're Texas, it has to be, I guess.
That's tough. And then, yes, they have Bijan Robinson coming in, and they have Keontae Ingram coming back. So their running backs are stacked. But if they don't, they're going to have to produce. Because I think what Texas is going to go up against early, they're going to make this run game beat them. They're not going to let Sam Ehlinger, who has proved that he can win games in some situations, they're not going to let him throw the ball all over the yard, and he's not going to be able to with these wide receivers, it looks like. So Robinson and Ingram are going to have to step up and help Ehlinger win some of these early games. And, Brandon, my biggest problem with Texas is the defense, because these rankings are not great. Brandon, they rank 59th overall in projected defense right now. They rank 61st in pass rush, and they rank 63rd in the back-end secondary part of their defense.
Yeah, well, Texas is a back end, really, the way you're talking about them.
I mean, are those the rankings of a top 10 team? Does anything I've said so far sound like a top 10 team? The only team that has had a defensive ranking outside the top 50 to win the national championship, Brandon, can you name the team?
No.
The 2010 Auburn Tigers.
Okay.
Because of Cam Newton.
I knew it. I was going to say it. As soon as I said no, wait. And
But yeah, Auburn's the only one. I believe they were actually mid-50s, maybe even the 60s with that. But I don't think Texas has Cam Newton walking through those doors. So, they have Kenyatta Watson the second at cornerback. They have Deshaun Jamison at cornerback. They're going to be keys to the back end of this defense, but I'm going to need to see major improvement there, because with Spencer Rattler taking over for Oklahoma, they're about to be throwing it all over the yard. And that, just like they always do, because Rattler's a better passer than Jalen Hurts was. So I need to see more from Texas here. And the defensive line should be better. You have Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton that are two true freshmen being into the mix, and linebacker Joseph Assad comes back. These guys have to play big for the front seven, because they're going to have to try to stop running backs, Brandon, like Chuba Hubbard, Puka Williams at Kansas. These running backs are going to run all over this front seven if they don't pick it up. And I think Texas is going to be good. I don't think they're going to be trash. They're going to be good, but I don't think they're a top 10 team. Outside of Sam Ehlinger and all his experience at quarterback, there's nothing about this team other than the name on that jersey saying Texas and that burnt orange Longhorn on the helmet that suggests this team should be a top 10 team.
Absolutely. I mean, I echo that sentiment 1,000,000%. I feel like I've been saying that a lot, but I do. The one thing I will say before we move on, Zach, is Michigan's got to be pissed off, right? Like, they're not even playing, and they still put them at 16.
That's because Michigan was going to be trash, and Jim Harbaugh is going to be fired. This is the only reason Jim Harbaugh is going to have a job next year.
I feel like Michigan, and I've done no research, but I feel like they're always ranked number 16 to start the season, like every single year.
And it's just because they're Michigan. Like, if it wasn't Michigan, they would never rank that team.
If you slap another name and logo on that team, that is like a number 60 in the country team.
It's the same thing with Texas. If you took that same roster and put them in Arizona State gear, that team would be a top 25 team.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, come on, man. It's a joke. I'm still pissed off about it, because I think Texas is just so overrated, and it's just because they're Texas, man. We see it year in and year out. And you know what? They're going to lose 3 games and go win the Holiday Bowl, and Sam Ehlinger is going to scream into the mic that they're back, and they're not going to be. Until who comes there? Your boy Ewer is going to step in 2 years and lead Texas to the promised land. But that's a long way away, Brandon, and we'll see if Tom Herman even makes it to that. But we're going to go ahead and move on, man. We've ranted 25 minutes about the AP poll. I'm upset with ourselves. I mean, we even took a segment out to keep the show a little bit shorter, and we just ranted 25 minutes on this. But we're moving on, guys. We're starting a new segment here, and guess what? The creative geniuses we are, the juices were flowing. We're just going to name this segment Breakout Players. And guess what? It is just as uncreative and self-explanatory as it sounds. We're going to go through each conference, including some of the group of 5 conferences, and cover some of the players Brandon and I think are best candidates for being breakout players of the year in that conference. We're going to start with the ACC, which has really become extremely interesting due to the fact that Notre Dame was added. So, Brandon, who is your first choice for a breakout player in the ACC?
Okay, so I have to be completely transparent with you, Zach. My heart sunk a second when you said every conference until I realized you meant like week by week. So we'll start with the ACC now. For now, I've got my players for the ACC. Don't even worry. I was like, man, I really did not do my job this time. But it was going to get ugly. Zach, this one might come as a big surprise to you, but I love transfer quarterbacks, and it's probably not the transfer quarterback you're even thinking of here. But I think that someone that is, if they aren't considered a breakout player in the ACC this year, they're going to be considered a breakout player on their own team because this kid has little to no, I guess, expectations for this upcoming season, and that's Phil Jerkovich at Boston College, the transfer quarterback from Notre Dame. He's coming in. I want to say that this is his third year. I think he redshirted his first year, so this is his second year of eligibility. And, I mean, if you go back and watch this kid's tape, I mean, both at Notre Dame and in high school, it looks like he has what it takes. I mean, he's a dual-threat quarterback. I don't know how well of a dual-threat quarterback he's going to be in Division I football. But this kid's got an arm, and every single pass I saw him throw was just a dime. I mean, he put it right on the receiver where only they could catch it. And so I think this kid has some serious potential to be a breakout player this season.
Wow. I mean, you could have gave me probably as unlimited guesses, and that would have been the last name I would have came to. I'll do mine out of order just to stick with you here. I got a quarterback as well, and I mentioned him earlier, and it's Mikael Cunningham, Louisville's quarterback. I think he has the ability to be a top 3 quarterback in this conference already. And I think, like I said, this year's going to set him up to be top 2 with Sam Howell next year after Trevor Lawrence and Ian Book leave. But last season was Cunningham's first season starting and was an intricate reason that Louisville had the shocking success they did. Last season, over 62% completion percentage, over 2,000 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 6 rushing touchdowns. Brandon, he ranked top 5 in the conference in passing touchdowns, top 5 in rushing yards per attempt his freshman year at Louisville. He has a unique ability to really extend plays outside the pocket, and the defense is going to pay if they're not respecting his running ability. And Brandon, he's a real threat on read options and design runs. He averaged over 7 yards per attempt on read option plays last year.
Right.
His accuracy and ability to avoid turnovers is a serious reason I'm really high on Cunningham. And I think he's going to be, okay, this might sound crazy with Trevor Lawrence, Sam Howell, and this conference being loaded this year. I think Cunningham could make a run at ACC Player of the Year if he takes that next step in development. They have a great running attack, like I said earlier, with JV and Hawkins, and it's going to make teams really be honest and really have to decide on that read option. Do I want to stop Hawkins? Do I want to stop Cunningham? And Louisville's going to eat against some of these weaker ACC teams. And I think Cunningham should be a player to tune in and watch and could be a real reason that Louisville is the dark horse in the ACC this year.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could see that. I'm not going to be like, I 100% agree with you on this. But I could see it.
So I got to ask, I know you don't do your work like you're supposed to for this podcast.
What does that mean?
Disappointing the listeners. Do I need to go back to last segment, Brandon? Do I need to go back?
I don't want to go back to last segment.
Okay. How many players did you pick?
Don't worry about it. Me? I have a few more. Why?
Okay, let's do it then. Let's do it. Who's your number 2 player?
Zach thought that I picked one player and I was out. Is that what you thought, Zach?
Yeah, that's what I think of you. That's how I picture. That's how I picture you.
Yeah. Well, I have a fun pick here, and I don't think that his team's going to do very well. I will say that up front. But I have a player. He's another transfer quarterback. Big transfer quarterback guy. Big transfer quarterback guy. After I saw what Joe Burrow did, anything is possible. It's a Kevin Durant quote. Not Kevin. It's Kevin Garnett.
I'm about to say, do not disrespect Kevin Garnett like that. Don't disrespect the GOAT.
The GOAT, for sure. All right. But I'm going to go with Chase Bryce. I said that very slowly because I don't know if anyone knows Chase Bryce.
Oh
If you
God.
do know him, you know him from that Syracuse game that Clemson almost lost. Uh,
Clemson almost lost.
yeah, Kelly Bryant died, and then Trevor Lawrence died, and then Chase Bryce stepped up and won that Syracuse game. Uh, Spoiler alert: he has transferred to Duke. He signed his letter of intent in February, and I guess he's immediately eligible. So that's kind of cool for this kid. He's a senior quarterback, um, pro style. I mean, we haven't seen a lot out of this kid, to be completely honest with you, other than that Syracuse game. I guess we saw him once Clemson took the first stringers out every now and then, but we haven't seen a ton out of him. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have potential. Obviously, Dabo Swinney saw something in this kid and recruited him. And I guess you could say the same thing about Kelly Bryant, and we kind of see what happened there. But um, I have higher hopes for Chase Bryce, and I'm hoping that he will be a breakout player this season, so that I don't lose my credibility like I feel like I'm about to.
No, I mean, okay, so he's an interesting pick because of David Cutcliffe at Duke
Right.
being the head coach. If people don't remember, he was the offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning at Tennessee.
There we go. I mean,
this guy has a
that.
tenured, I mean, he's one of the probably the most experienced, well-respected head coaches in the game. And Chase Bryce, you don't get a scholarship to Clemson just because you're a bum.
Right. I mean, he was a 3-star going into college. I mean, ranked outside. He's almost ranked in the 400s. He was ranked 393. But I mean, you do not get a scholarship to Clemson for nothing.
Exactly. I mean, he won the game he was supposed to win. I mean, Kelly Bryant transfers all game. They're like, what if Trevor Lawrence gets hurt? What if Trevor Lawrence gets hurt? And like on the third play of the game, he gets his head taken off. And then they're like, oh, well, Chase Bryce is here. And he goes out and wins that game. Luckily, he had Travis Etienne to hand the ball off to, but he still played very, very well. And so I don't hate that pick. I really don't. I actually didn't know he picked Duke. I knew he was leaning toward it, but apparently I missed where he signed. But yeah, David Cutcliffe is no joke with quarterbacks. And really and truly, Duke was better than their record showed last year, and it was due to subpar quarterback play.
Right.
And Brandon, you're gonna love this pick. My next two picks, I'm okay. So I'm saving my favorite player for last. I'll move to this guy. My favorite player in this segment. I'm gonna rant about him, but I got a guy from a team that you love. He's a UNC player, not the one you think it is. And listen. I know a lot of you guys thought I liked North Carolina this much because of one player, and that's Sam Howell. Well, let me introduce you to Javonte Williams, the running back for UNC, and he was part of a deadly 1-2 combo last year with Michael Carter. But I expect Williams to separate himself from the pack this season. Last year, Williams had over 1,000 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, while averaging 5.6 yards per rush and over 10 yards per catch, Brandon.
Okay.
Explosion, and more explosion for this kid. I mean, I think he's going to be even better this season because now he has 2 years of experience under his belt in Chapel Hill. Last year, Brandon, he was top 10 in rushing yards, yards per attempt, and yards from scrimmage in the ACC. And this is a crazy stat. According to Pro Football Focus, Williams had 5 or more yards after contact on over 30% of his runs last year.
Jeez.
Which speaks to his physicality on top of his already explosive nature as a player. He's 5'10", Brandon, but he weighs 225 pounds.
Holy cow.
So it makes him an absolute problem to get to the ground. And I think Williams is going to be a huge reason that UNC makes a run at Clemson this season. And I expect Williams to be a top 3 running back this season in the ACC.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, Zach. He's a very talented player, and I think that he doesn't get nearly the spotlight that he deserves.
Well, when you have Sam Howell there, man, it's tough.
That's true. So my turn one more time, right?
One more time, man. One more time.
I got one more, and I'm actually going to the defensive side of the ball. And
I am too.
I'm glad that this team joined the ACC this season because I'm excited about this guy.
If you take my guy, we are going to fight, son. We are
I
going.
don't,
I will stop this recording, and we are going to meet up. Where's the middle point between Baton Rouge and Kansas?
I don't want to go to Arkansas. Please don't make me go to Arkansas.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We can pick this back up when I come back down.
Okay. Oh, now I'm afraid. Kyle Hamilton.
Oh my God, bro. Okay, I'll let you take it first, man. We'll break this guy down together because this kid is a absolute monster.
So he's going into his second year at Notre Dame. That's why I'm glad they joined the ACC this season because this kid is phenomenal. And he's a safety playing for Notre Dame. Last season alone, his freshman year, his true freshman season, he had 41 total tackles. He had 27 solo tackles, 14 assists with 4 interceptions. I mean, this kid's just an absolute stud, and I think he's just prosed for a breakout season. I wanted to pick a defensive player, Zach. Now you're making me feel like I didn't have nearly enough on him.
No, I mean, listen, I know you guys knew that we both had to give you a defensive player, and I think this kid has an argument. I know Marvin Wilson's there. I know there's a lot of talented players at Clemson and everything. This kid could be the best overall defensive player in the ACC, right up there with Gregory Rousseau, Quincy Rose, Chaz Surratt from UNC. This kid is the real deal. And listen, I know it's a huge jump, but this is a breakout segment. And like Brandon said, I mean, he put up all those stats where he only started one game.
Right.
But he played in every game, and now he ranked number 1 for independent schools and interceptions. He was top 5 for passes defended. Guys, as a safety, this kid stands at 6'4", 220, and it makes him just an absolute perfect size to be a dynamic playmaker on the back end of this Fighting Irish defense. And with his size, he has the ability to step into the box and make plays in the run game and is really dangerous on blitzes due to his size and athleticism. And Brandon, as a true freshman, Hamilton graded out at 89.4 in all his coverage snaps, which ranked as one of the best in the country for a safety. And since he's stepping into a starting role next year, it's going to allow him to apply that wealth of experience he gained from last year. And so now he's going to have more opportunities to make plays. And I think he's going to be an all ACC selection by the end of the year. And I think Hamilton is going to be able to make a run at the top spot for INTs in the entire country. And he's going to feast on some of these younger, less experienced DBs in QBs in the ACC. And listen, Hamilton versus Lawrence and Howell is going to be an absolute game you have to watch because that's elite versus elite. And if Notre Dame wins the ACC and makes a run this year, I expect Hamilton to be a finalist for the Thorpe Award at the end of the year because that's how good this kid could be for the Fighting Irish.
Do you know what's crazy is that he did have that one game that he started this past season. He played in every game, like Zach said. He played 13 games, only started 1. This kid's projected to be a first-round pick in the NFL.
Yep.
That's insane.
Already, man. I mean, like, that's how good this – I mean, Brandon, how often do we see a safety that big, that be that athletic and that good? He's like Mika Fitzpatrick, but bigger.
Right. That's insane.
And because he also took an interception back for a touchdown this year. He also broke – I think he had 7 passes defended as well. I mean, this kid was all over the field, and I think you're going to be able to see him play a more dynamic role for Notre Dame this year because he's starting now. So now they're going to be able to make blitz packages for him. He's going to play in the slot. He might even step out to the boundary. He could play middle of the field, deep safety. I think this kid is versatile, and I think he could be a top 10 pick when he decides to come out to the NFL draft.
Right, absolutely. And guys, everyone listening out there better hope that this kid doesn't play, like he opts out or something, because if he is the breakout player that Zach and I think he's going to be, we won't stop talking about it. This is gonna be like a weekly segment, just the Kyle Hamilton update, like the "we told you so" update. It's gonna be bad.
Well, I mean, it makes you think harder about Notre Dame because all everyone talks about is Ian Book.
Right.
And you don't think about how good this defense could be because I mean, we're gonna start having conference breakdowns coming very soon, guys. I mean, it's even as soon as maybe next week, where we break down these conferences in depth, and there's going to be some of these defensive players from Notre Dame that like you guys might have never heard of that really should make Notre Dame a real option to win the ACC this year.
Yeah, I'm hesitant on that, but yeah, look, they're going to be better than a lot of people think they will be.
I'll give you that. I mean, I think everyone's just kind of scared away because of what happened against Clemson, what happened against Alabama in 2012. There's a lot of people who are hesitant about the real potential of this team, I believe.
Right.
But, guys, we're going to move on here. Last segment of the day. Y'all already know what's going down. Exclusive recruiting update here on the Blue Bloods, and check out all our recent episodes to catch up on updates from all around the country. But we're going back to the Pac-12 today. We haven't done a lot of these. We're going to analyze the Arizona State Sun Devils 2021 class, one that most of y'all probably don't know much about, but they're trying to follow up actually a top 25 class last season. That sounds crazy to say, but head coach Herm Edwards continues his rebuild of this program. And this class is headlined with 6 top 600 recruits. But the Sun Devils are almost full here. Have about 5, maybe 6 spots left, depending on how scholarships work out. But Brandon, what's your take on this class? And listen, do you trust Herm Edwards to really make a contender out of this program?
I trust Herm Edwards with my life, honestly.
I like that. I like that. Hashtag Herm Edwards can save my life.
Could you not? But can you not see them being a real contender? I mean, they're ranked 21 in the country right now. I understand they have 20 commits. That's all fine and well. But I mean, they have 4 4-star commits right now. Like, that's a lot. That's a ton for any school. And they have that, and they're Arizona State. Usually I'm the first one to say, maybe this number's inflated because of how many commits they have. Zach, last year, I think they only had 21 signees, either 21 or 23. They're already at 20 for this season, and it's not even like we're not even close to National Signing Day. You don't think that they max this out this year? I think that if they don't, it's going to be, a travesty.
Well, okay, so just a little update for you, Brandon. I know this is coming out of the blue. Like, I didn't expect anyone else to know about this. I guess, kind of breaking news. Like, today, they had an influx of golden, not golden, but crystal ball predictions for Dominic Lovett, who's a top 300 player, the number 3 player in Illinois, who's a 4-star wide receiver, who literally runs a 4.5 and put up 1,500 yards receiving and 17 touchdowns. And Auburn, Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Penn State, Missouri, all these schools are recruiting this kid hard. LSU is in his final 3, and Arizona State has 100% of the crystal balls as of today. Like, all came in to this afternoon while I was doing research for this segment.
Okay, so Zach, I know what you're talking about. For anybody who doesn't know what crystal balls are, it's predicting that he's going to Arizona State. And if he has 100% of the crystal balls, it's as good as a commit, really.
Yeah. It's like 14 of them, so it's not just like one person put it in. It's like 14 or 15.
Right. Someone knows something. He's told a few friends who have told a few friends. That's crazy. That's going to boost this class a lot.
They're going to be top. They could be top, like right there at the top 20.
I mean, they're already at 21.
That's true. Yeah. So they could make even a run at like 17, 16, depending on, I know it like works really weird. I don't know exactly. Like, there's a class calculator on 247 where you can find out, like, you can go for your favorite team and enter all the recruits you expect or want them to get and see where they rank. But I would imagine they're going to make a run toward about 15 or so. But I mean, Herm Edwards, man, I don't think you can even talk enough about how well he's done. Cause like there was a lot of speculation where it was like, there's a big difference between NFL coaching and college football coaching, but I feel like Edwards has silenced the critics here.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job at Arizona State. I mean, they beat Oregon last year. That's a pretty good accomplishment.
And they is as much as you could say bad about Florida State last year, they did beat Florida State in the bowl game too, which is a huge win for an Arizona State program.
Right. I mean, well, a good Pac-12 program is about as good as a bad ACC program. I'll say that, or a middle of the road ACC program. So that was a good one.
So dirty.
I'm sorry. But I mean, this Arizona State recruiting class, I'll get back on topic. Man, it really is impressing me. The way that they're recruiting California is great. They got the number 10 player in the state of California. He's number 94 overall. That's just, I mean, if that's not a statement, I don't know what is. But not only that, I mean, they're recruiting nationwide, which is something that I love to give all these teams credit for. It is, I don't even know if I could count how many states they've recruited
No,
in.
it's 11 they have 11 different states for 20 commits right now.
Like, are you kidding me? And 6 of those are in California, which that's going to be the biggest talent pool around
Yeah,
Arizona. So good for them. I mean, but they're
exactly.
recruiting in Texas, they're recruiting in Louisiana, they're recruiting in Virginia. I mean, they're all over the board.
Pennsylvania, North Carolina, all of it.
So listen, major props. One thing I will say, they have one commit in Arizona. Um, I, I don't know how much talent Arizona has. I feel like it's not like a ton
Not a lot.
because the kid that they have from Arizona isn't even like he's not ranked nationally and he's 12 in the state. So
Exactly.
yeah, I guess I can't really criticize them on that. I was about to, but good job not recruiting Arizona, I guess is what I'll say.
Well, so yes, we give a lot of coaches credit for recruiting nationwide, but I feel like this one holds a little bit different weight because we did it for Jim Harbaugh. You're supposed to be able to recruit nationally for Michigan.
Right.
You're supposed to be able to do it for Alabama, LSU, and all this stuff, but Arizona State's not supposed to go get kids from ACC, Big Ten, and SEC country. I mean, what is a kid from North Carolina and Virginia or Louisiana doing going to Arizona State?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, and they're like good players too. It's not like
Oh
they're.
yeah.
I mean, the kid from Louisiana is ranked 900th nationally. To be ranked in that top 1,000 is insane. Like that, you have to be so good.
I mean, and listen, man. So I was a person. I remember when Herm Edwards was getting hired. I loved it. I thought it was going to work because I don't think Herm Edwards was a normal NFL head coach. Would Bill Belichick work in the college football? I don't think so. I really don't. Like, say what you want about Bill Belichick, he's probably the greatest NFL coach of all time. I don't think he'd be a good college coach, but Herm Edwards, I really, really respect. I really, really like. I know I want Herm Edwards on this podcast. That's a long shot, but Herm, if you're listening, come on, man. But he's doing an outstanding job of not only this, Brandon, you talk about, so someone could hear you say the 900th ranked recruit in the country. Everyone's like, oh man, shut up. Like, that's stupid. Like, I don't know if there's a coach in the country who is, maybe PJ Fleck at Minnesota, but Herm Edwards is doing an outstanding job of developing talent.
Right.
And say what you want about where these kids are ranked. They all fit the culture he's trying to build.
Yeah.
They're all high character kids. They're all high motor kids. They're all disciplined kids. And that wins games. It really does. And, he has 2 straight top 3 finishes in his division. He has a huge bowl win over Florida State. I think kids want to play for Edwards. I think they respect where he's like, what kind of NFL player he was, what kind of NFL coach he was. And I love what Edwards is doing here. But Brandon, I know we always cover the top, like 1 or 2 recruits in the class together, but how about Isaiah Johnson, man? Top recruit in this recruiting class. He's 94th in the country. So a top 100 player, 7th ranked cornerback out of Playa del Rey, California. Brandon, they landed him over schools like Georgia and Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, so this kid transferred out to California, which kind of explains why he has a lot of SEC offers. I believe he came from the East Coast, but he transferred out to California, hurt his ankle, and missed the entire year. And now California has canceled high school football this fall. So Johnson won't be able to play this fall either, but this is a huge concern. But he was from West Virginia. My bad. Okay. I remember I had it down somewhere, but Johnson's team went on to the state championship, and he was an intricate part there. And for a cornerback, Brandon, he's 6'2", 185, which is an elite frame. And he was clocked at a 4.52 as a sophomore in high school.
That's crazy.
And he participated at the opening as a sophomore, which is outrageous. He had a 38-inch vertical. He had a 260-pound power clean and a 400-pound squat at 6'2", 180.
Right. I mean, this kid, and I know we say this every single recruiting update. This kid is not even in his senior season, man. He's 6'1", 180, and I mean, I know we just talked about Kyle Hamilton being so big and having such a big frame for a defensive back. He's a safety. Cornerbacks are even smaller than safeties normally, and this kid has the opportunity to go into college weighing 200 pounds as a quarterback. That's huge.
Yeah, I'm really, really, I've really, really liked this kid. I don't know how much more I could say about it, but I mean, I think he's a physical freak for his size. It contributes to how well I think he can do at the next level. And I think with his size and athleticism, he can move around the secondary and become a real versatile piece for this Sun Devils defense. And I think he's a future NFL pick. And in my opinion, he's going to be a future All-American for the Sun Devils.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely see it.
And another top prospect before I get to my underrated that I really like. I don't know if you have the same one, Brandon, but I like Junior Alexander. He's the 306th national player, 54th wide receiver out of Buren, Washington. He's 6'3", almost 200 pounds, gives him a prototypical size and gives him an advantage over most Pac-12 DBs already. He's not as big speed threat, Brandon, but he uses his size and route running ability to get open. He's dominated the Washington high school circuit for 3 years now, and he's shown huge steps in his development. Brandon, freshman year, 60 catches, 859 receiving yards, and 10 touchdowns as a freshman for the varsity team. Sophomore year, Brandon, he jumps up to 71 catches, almost 1,200 yards, and 10 more touchdowns. And then last year, goes to 67 catches, but he puts up 1,300 yards and 24 touchdowns.
The kid's a stud.
And more touchdowns than he had in his freshman and sophomore year. And I think he's one of the best high school receivers in finding the weaknesses and coverages. We talk a lot about wide receivers on this segment that have the speed to burn people deep. They show the outstanding route running ability, but Alexander shows a knowledge of the coverages, and he can find the soft parts of the zone and exploit them. And I can't wait for this kid to get into this offense and dominate the Pac-12. And I think he's going to be a number one target at Arizona State. And he has NFL potential if he keeps developing the way he is.
Yeah, he definitely does.
So
I know.
Go ahead.
Right.
You could take your underrated prospect. I have one that's an underrated prospect.
Yeah, mine's pretty underrated. I already talked about him. He's ranked 905th in this recruiting class. I had to go with the kid from Louisiana. Everyone knew I had to. So I'm going with Garen Stansberry. He's a defensive end out of Franklin, Louisiana. If you're wondering where that is, so am I. It's basically Mississippi. It's north of New Orleans, but like almost state line. But this kid, I mean, he's good. It's crazy to me that you can be ranked 905th in the country and still be just this much of a threat. And that's what I was trying to say earlier, is that if you're ranked in that top 1,000, Zach, how good do you have to be in that top 1,000 in the country?
Man, you have to be elite. I mean, think about how many high school players there are in the country.
Think about how many high schools there are in the country. I'll put it this way. You think about that kid that you played with in high school. And this is just kind of generalization. Think about that one kid you played with in high school, and everyone at your school is like, man, that guy, he's good. He probably wasn't even close to the top 1,000 in the country, is what I'm getting at. Like, you can be good and not be in the top 1,000, but this kid is a monster. I mean, the pass rush that this kid can bring to a defense is, I don't want to say like no other, because it's probably like a whole lot of others, but it's really good. And putting him in Herm Edwards' system, putting him in that defense is, I think, the perfect place for this kid. Because I'm not going to act like he's the perfect defensive end. I'm not going to act like he's the best one, maybe even on this team. But I think this kid has a lot of potential. He's almost 6'5". Right, as of right now, he's only 212 pounds. I'd like to see a lot of weight put onto that frame. But I mean, who's to say this kid's not growing? His brother is also he was a defensive end at Texas A&M, and he went on to play NFL football. If that tells you anything, that's Gavin Stansbury. So I don't know. I just think this kid has a lot of potential. He has connections in the NFL. Obviously, if his brother ended up growing to the size that he needed to be a defensive end in the NFL, I think this kid has it.
Yeah, I agree. I almost picked this kid, but I had a sneaky feeling you were going to go with the Louisiana kid.
Yeah, he had 89 tackles last year, Zach, 10 sacks. I couldn't pass him up.
Well, I beat you here. I think I have my lowest rated prospect ever. He set a record. I have Isaiah Pipkin. He's the 1,354th ranked player in the entire country, the 91st outside linebacker out of Wake Forest, North Carolina.
Wake Forest High School.
Yeah, Wake Forest High School. Now he's not a transfer guy. He's our Wake Forest, North Carolina High School, and there's actually a city called Wake Forest. Shockingly, this kid is a hyper athletic outside linebacker, man. And he has the size to play buck defensive end at the next level. Brandon, he's listed as an outside linebacker. He's 6'6", 225.
Jeez.
And his frame could hold even more weight once he gets onto a D1 level workout plan. And Brandon, you know what I love. You know what I look for in these underrated prospects. This past season was Pipkin's first year of playing football, and it's because he focused on basketball his whole life. He's a really, really good basketball player out there, and he decided he wanted to try football, and it's stuck, and now he wants to go play football. And based on what I'm reading, he could play basketball at Arizona State, but I don't know if he will. But it only increases his potential. I mean, he has that basketball athleticism with that defensive end size. He had 30 tackles last year, 2 sacks, 3 pass deflections, and 1 interception. Brandon, are you on his recruiting profile right now?
No, I can be.
Okay, just go turn on his tape and watch the first play, which I believe is the 1 interception he had last year, which is an Odell-type catch for a kid this size.
Yeah, you wouldn't know anything about this, Zach, but I don't subscribe to 247, so I have to watch this ad first, so continue.
Well, I'll talk to Brandon, but I mean, I think Pipkin will improve in his second year in football. It could start to garner more attention across this country, but Arizona State was the very first team, Brandon, to offer him in high school. So I think he's going to stick with the Sun Devils. But if he breaks out this next year, look for those ACC, SEC, Big Ten teams to really make a run at him. But this speaks to the eye, like you said earlier, of Herm Edwards, where he discovers a gem in North Carolina before any team in that area.
Right.
That blows my mind. And then he lands that kid and could have a star in the making.
I saw the play. Oh, my gosh.
I mean, for a 6'6", 225 potential DN, that's outstanding hands.
He dropped back to coverage. He dropped back into zone coverage as a defensive end. That's nuts.
Well, he didn't even play defensive end yet, Brandon. He plays strictly outside linebacker at that size right now.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So he's a defensive end that's athletic enough for a team to trust him backing up into coverage at 6'6".
That's nuts.
In the Pac-12, they're going to drop him down to defensive line. They'll put some weight on him, but they'll also be able to disguise him in blitz packages because he can drop back and they can bring linebackers and he can take their place. Versatility is huge for high school kids going to D1 programs. And listen, I expect this kid to redshirt, Brandon, because he doesn't have a lot of experience. But during that redshirt year, it should increase his knowledge of the game, and he's going to become an absolute force for the Sun Devils. And listen, I think he could develop a future NFL pick if Edwards can continue to work his magic. But for a kid that is really, really talented, not a lot of experience, is there a better coach to have in the country than Herm Edwards? Okay, outside of maybe like Nick Saban or like Dabo, but like for like a lower tier program like Arizona State.
No, I think Herm Edwards is absolutely great at
perfect for this.
Right.
And that's why I like this kid. Listen, guys, keep Isaiah Pipkin in your mind when watching Arizona State in the coming years. And listen, I'm ready to put my money where my mouth is. And Brandon, in like 3 years from now, when the Blue Bloods is like 4 years strong, we're on ESPN one day. We're gonna readdress some of these underrated picks and see if like we have an eye for talent or not. And we're gonna figure out, are we really paying attention? Because I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is with these underrated prospects.
Some of them I am very convinced on. I'll say that.
Brandon said, "Listen, I don't want to have to take out a loan to pay off my debts here. I'm gonna be real cautious picking from now on." He's gonna be like, "I'm gonna pick the 23rd ranked player in the country. He should be a top 10 player." Oh man! But guys, that is an hour of content here on the Blue Bloods. That is a wrap on this episode. Instagram at the _ Blue Bloods, Facebook at the Blue Bloods Pod, Twitter at the _ Blue Bloods. Go follow us on all the social media. Find us on YouTube, the Blue Bloods CFP podcast, the Audible episode 3 coming next week, next Wednesday. You can find more about it on our social media. Listen, guys, check me out this weekend, Saturday. I'll be on Couch Coach Live again. We're going to be analyzing the Big 12. Go to his YouTube channel, catch me covering the SEC and the Pac-12, even though they're not playing. You can find out what could have happened in the Pac-12. So check that out there. We got big announcements on the way, guys. So just stay tuned for that. Y'all keep subscribing. You can find the podcast literally anywhere. Keep listening. We'll keep dropping episodes. You know how that goes. But for right now, we out.